What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Week 10 preview predictions are continuing today. We got only one preview prediction up for you today due to the college football playoff ranking reaction and the playoff video that I put out earlier today. But we're going to be talking about this big one in the Pac-12. We got the Washington Huskies going on the road in the Coliseum to take on the University of Southern Cal. The Trojans have been sliding as of late. Washington has not played their best football. Both these teams looking to get back on track here to sort. So we're going to talk about this one in just a little bit. But before we do that, you guys know I got to say thank you for all the support the channel has seen as of late. It does mean a lot to me. If you guys want to continue to help show your support, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when videos get uploaded. But there are more ways than that to help me support my channel. You're doing one of them right now by watching the video, and you can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else you guys are willing and or able to do to help me support my channel. But enough about me, and with all that out of the way, let's dive on into this one out of the Pac-12 conference. The Washington Huskies, ever since that win against the Oregon Ducks, they've played two teams towards the bottom of the Pac-12 conference, in the Arizona State Sun Devils and the Stanford Cardinal, and they have just not played their best football up to this point. Meanwhile, the USC Trojans are coming off two really tough losses, one where they absolutely got killed by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and then a very slow, very underwhelming performance against California, to where they had to stop a two-point conversion to be able to win that game. Both these teams looking to get back on track of sorts. And let's go ahead and take a look at both the stats of both these teams. Let's go and take a look at the stats both these teams have put up so far this season. We are going to start out with the road team, and for this game, that is the most recently ranked, 5th-ranked Washington Huskies, at least according to the College Football Playoff Committee. They are ranked 5th. Michael Penix Jr. might be the best quarterback in the nation this year. He's one of, if not the front runner for the Heisman Trophy right now. 2,945 yards, should easily break over 3,000 in this game right here. 24 touchdowns and 6 interceptions this season. Has had interception problems here and there, especially over the past couple of weeks, but we'll talk more about the turnover bug here for Washington in a little bit and later on in this video as well. He's got one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country. Rome Odunze is a really good weapon, as is Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan hasn't really been as involved as some Husky fans maybe would have thought coming into this year, but he's still a really good part. Jeremy Bernard, my apologies, thinking of someone else, is there in the wide receiver room as well. As that tight end Jack Westover has had some big catches there, is actually 3rd on the team with 4 touchdowns, as both Odunze and Polk both there have 7. This is a really explosive Washington offense. They have a pretty solid run game there. Dylan Johnson has his good moments, but this is an offense that thrives through the air. They don't allow opponents to sack their quarterback, Michael Penix. He's only been sacked 5 times this year. 3rd down conversion percentage is pretty good, but the one thing, especially as of late, that has plagued the Washington Huskies is the turnover bug. They've had, I believe, 6 turnovers over their past 2 games, somewhere around that number, and that needs to be cleaned up fast. When you take a look at this Husky defense, the numbers here are not fantastic either. I mean, 20 points per game is a solid number, but you're allowing 400 yards per game. You're not really generating too much pressure to opposing quarterbacks, around 1.25 sacks per game. You force 9 turnovers, so you're -3 in turnover margin. Again, that's come back to the past couple of weeks when Washington's offense has really struggled with the turnover bug. They've turned the football over, and your 3rd down defense is not fantastic. However, this is a Washington defense that does have some really good moments, has a lot of size, especially in that defensive front, and can play some really good brand of defense here. We've seen it. We know Washington's defense can step up in big moments, can make some stops, can force some 3rd down, can force some 3rd and longs, and when they need to, they can be able to generate takeaways there as well. But again, this is the Washington team that is highlighted by their offense. The defense performs well when it needs to, just not maybe fully consistent, and that's much so the storyline with this USC team. It's an offensive-led team, of course, led by the Heisman Trophy winner from last season in Caleb Williams. While a two-peat is likely out of the question for him, it is not fully out of the realm of possibility. However, a big win here is needed, and he's going to need to be huge for this USC team here this weekend when they play the Huskies. 2,646 yards, 25 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. Again, 3 of those coming in the game against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This is a team, unlike last year, that does have a pretty solid run game with former South Carolina transfer Marshawn Lloyd leading this rushing attack. Austin Jones has been in and out there as well, running the football for this team. And we know what Caleb Williams can do on the ground. While his stat line has not been prolific, does have 9 rushing touchdowns and still is a weapon to get out of the pocket and scramble. He's got some, again, another one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country. Taz Washington, Brendan Rice, Mario Williams, the stud freshman, and Zachariah Branch, Dorian Singer, and I could go on and on and on talking about the weapons that USC has offensively. However, much like Washington, there are some problems with this offense. While the third down conversion percentage is great, the turnovers, especially fumbles, have really become an issue for this USC team, and the offensive line has really started to crumble these past couple of weeks. Utah able to really do whatever they wanted. Notre Dame really able to do whatever they wanted, and then even Cal had some times where Caleb Williams would go down while he was trying to drop back and throw. 24 sacks allowed by this USC offensive line this year. That is not a very good mark at all. I believe that may be a mark that places them bottom 25 in the entire country, if not at least they're in the bottom half of the country in terms of sacks allowed this year. That's got to be something that's got to flip around, even though this Washington defense statistically does not create that much pressure. This is a team that can still bring the pressure, absolutely. And what more do we have to say about this USC defense? We know how much of a liability it is. If you want a bright spot on this USC defense, hey, their third down conversion percentage allowed is not terrible, and they are forcing turnovers. They are forcing pressure to the opposing quarterbacks. However, one thing with this USC team, when you compare them to last year, they're not winning the turnover battle as much as they did last year. And yes, that pass rush is better, but the offensive line is also still giving up sacks, and this defense is still very much so a liability. When you have to play one of the most explosive teams in the country this year in the Washington Huskies, especially through the air, boy, this is a USC defense that's really, really going to have their struggles, but we know what this USC offense could do. It's going to keep them in any game, no matter how well or how bad the defense on the other side of the ball is playing, which leads me into my what to watch for, your keys to the game, kind of just some things I think you should keep an eye on when you are paying attention to this one. The offensive key is simple. For the Washington Huskies, we know how much of a liability this USC defense is, and who knows what they're going to do with defensive coordinator. I think everything USC fans know is Alex Grinch has to be gone, but until this defense really proves that they're capable of turning it around in even the slightest of way, just continue to pour it on offensively, continue to throw the ball downfield, continue to get those big chunk yardage plays, and continue the offensive dominance. Now, in order to do this, you do need to go down to the third bullet point here, which is all the mistakes and especially all the turnovers here that Washington has been giving away. They need to be cleaned up fast, because you take a look at the offense on the other side of the ball here with USC. It's an offense that, much like what Washington can do, if you make a mistake and you turn the football over to the defense that is nowhere near as impressive as some of the other defenses we've seen in the country, talking about both teams here, you're going to be able to capitalize. But the turnovers especially have plagued Washington as of late in their past couple of games. They're going to do a good job at limiting the pressure to Michael Penix, as they have done all year long. And Michael Penix is going to have so many opportunities to take deep shots with this wide receiver group, but you can't turn the football over. You can't throw interceptions if you're Michael Penix. And if you're carrying the football as a wide receiver, as a running back, whomsoever, you need to hold on to it. And defensively, of course, the key is simple, but it's also a lot easier said than done. You have to key in on Caleb Williams and these wide receivers. Yes, the run game is going to have its moments here for USC, but with how big and how physical the Washington defensive front can be, I think they're going to be able to slow down what USC is able to do on the ground. It's all about getting back to Caleb Williams and forcing USC into some third down and longs, which leads me into my keys for the 20th ranked USC Trojans. As per the College Football Playoff Committee, it's time for the way too late Heisman moment for Caleb Williams. And I know that the Heisman may very well be out of reach for him. However, I do not think it is out of the realm of possibility. If USC wins this game, they're on top of the Pac-12. They're going to be sitting at first place in that conference. It is time for the way too late Heisman moment. It's time for Caleb Williams to look. Caleb, we're accustomed to seeing Caleb Williams put this USC team, even when he was at Oklahoma, put the Sooners on his back and say, all right, guys, let's go. And carried that team to victory. He may need to do the same thing here against the Washington Huskies, because this is a Husky offense that, albeit has not looked quite like itself the past couple of weeks, but if it gets back on track and it gets back to playing really, really well, then hey, you're going to need to go stride for stride with this Husky team. I mean, you could say the same thing for Washington here as well. You have to kind of go stride for stride here with USC. But if you are the USC Trojans defensively, just as a general takeaway at all, you take a look at that third bullet point there for Washington. Yeah, the turnovers, mistakes need to be cleaned up. That's exactly what USC is going to try to force here in this game. They're going to try to force turnovers. They're going to try to control the clock. Now, in doing so, you can't turn the football over yourself, because if you force a turnover and you give the football right back to Washington, guarantee you the Huskies are going to go down and get some points in the end zone. So you got to be able to force turnovers and capitalize. But another thing Washington hasn't been able to do, and part of that has been because they are turning the football over, they are not winning the time of possession game. If USC can do that, if they can take every opportunity they can get to keep this Washington offense off the field, you need to take advantage of that. But the one big thing here that may very well end up determining this game is not the talent that both of these two teams have, because especially offensively, both these two teams are very, very talented. It's the kind of will to win, the motivation factor. And does USC have that? I'm not quite convinced. I don't quite think USC really has that motivation to say, all right, let's go. I mean, already with 2 losses, sure, you're probably not making the college football playoff, but you still control your own destiny in the Pac-12. Sure, Caleb Williams is probably not going to end up winning the Heisman Trophy this year, but you still control your own destiny. You can still get to a Pac-12 title. You can still get to a New Year's Six bowl game. I just don't know if USC really has that motivation in them right now. That Cal game didn't show me anything as far as this USC team saying, okay, guys, come on, we need to bounce back. A very, very lackluster performance, and I think Washington is going to play a whole lot better this week. I think Michael Penix is going to limit his turnovers. I think this is the Washington offense that we know can be explosive, and I think will, and it's a Washington defense that I think will stand up, create a turnover or two, but when it boils down to it, this is going to be an offensive shootout type game. I just don't think USC has the motivation factor right now. It would not surprise me in the slightest if USC is able to win, but I'm going with the Washington Huskies here in this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.